Hey guys, Island Sanctuary has been officially released, and this video is going to be me getting you up and running with Island Sanctuary really quick, and some handy tricks like, yeah, you can actually put the island duty actions on your hotbar. Absolutely a game changer. And talking about absolutes, I am also absolutely a fan of Island Sanctuary. Now the video length is long, not because I repeat myself, I am very much being careful here, I scripted out what I said, but because there are just that many systems at play here. It's just very super deep content. I can see people getting lost in this content for weeks very easily, myself included. Already very much enjoyed it. I can see myself enjoying this for a long time. If this video helps you out and you want to help support me and my content, I'd super appreciate if you slammed a ton of epic adventures on a pirate island on that like button and can't down that subscribe button. The requirements to get into Island Sanctuary is to just have completed the Endwalker MSQ. You don't need any crafters or gatherers leveled or any specific jobs. The content is completely independent, which also includes independent bags for storage, thank god. So the unlock quest is obtained from the clueless crier in Old Charlian at coordinates X of 11.9 and Y of 1110. He's right in the courtyard, right in the front. You can't miss him, but this is going to take you through a series of a few quests that will eventually land you at your island sanctuary. Now let's take a moment and talk about leaving the island and getting back, because this is going to be super important if you want to take part in the content, obviously. And so you can return to the island at any time by speaking with Bald Guy in Lower Leno's Cha-Cha at coordinates X of 24.9 and Y of 30.8, in which case you can return or even visit other players' island sanctuaries of friends, party members, free company members. Think of it kind of like returning to Gangnos from Shadowbringer's Relic, where you'd go to the Doman Enclave to get in. Honestly, a huge improvement for this that I personally would want would be an Aetheryte to just teleport in there, if I'm super honest. Now, obviously, if you want to leave, you can teleport, return works, or there is a 30-minute AFK boot timer, unfortunately. There went my dreams of staying logged in all day staring at my crops, telling the buggers to grow. My experience growing Thavenarian onions has taught me that I need to glare down this little plants to actually get Thavenarian onion seeds. Jokes aside, at this point you can continue on with the tutorial on the island that will handhold you through step by step, but I really do want to go through a quick one through of all of the main points here because there's a lot. And rest assured, it's not video bloat. There is just that many systems, which is good, but I mean, no one's gonna believe me. I try and summarize them as succinctly as possible. This is scripted and I removed all those fluffy jokes. That was my last one. Here's business time. The island fundamentally does have a leveling process baked into it where you can complete activities and gain what is called a sanctuary rank, where the more island sanctuary rank that you have, the more that you can do on the island. Effectively, it is a leveling system. There's also going to be the concept of what is called visions, where you can follow a series of guided steps that will take you through some activity to obtain some sort of goal and fulfill that vision. You can think about it like a quest. Early on, you're going to be given an item called the Islekeeps Index, which is going to be fundamental because it is going to really be your central hub, your main user interface for the island sanctuary, and helps you keep track of everything going on in the island. And yes, you will probably at some point, if you get really deep into the content, very much be needing this. I personally dragged it over, well, for my user interface in particular, to the most obvious location ever. So let's go over this real quick. The first thing is that you can change the mode with this top left corner element. The mode that you are in gives you various actions that you can execute. Depending on the mode that you're in, you might not even see things like gathering nodes that don't appear outside of gathering mode, for instance. There are a total of like 9 or 10 modes that are going to be slowly introduced through the tutorial. The first one is going to be free mode, which doesn't activate any special actions. Gathering mode allows you to view and gather items. Sow mode allows you to sow, or probably better known as plant, seeds. Water mode allows you to water those planted seeds. Cull mode allows you to remove those planted crops. Feed mode lets you feed your animals in your pasture. Pet allows, and the beckon mode allows you to interact with the pasture animals. Obviously, it's super cute. Capture mode allows you to use Pokeballs to capture the Pokemon out in the island to love and care for them. It's kind of sweet, sort of, aside from capturing them in nets. Sussy, but we're going with it. Now, at the top right-hand corner, you can see this gear icon, which is going to be the sanctuary settings. You can do things like make your island private and not allow people to join. Like if you really hate your free company, you should leave the free company, but you can block them from coming in, for instance. Now, for the other elements in this user interface is the Isleventory, like island inventory, aptly named because it's specifically your island sanctuary bag, and it's completely separate from your other bag, which everyone like me, is so happy about that. In it, you can see things categorized with materials, produce, which has the starters and the produce. You have the stock stores with slots for leavings, feed, restraints, and tools. And then next, there's going to be the crafting and gathering log, which for sure, not only do we want to check off and complete, but we also are going to be using the crafting log to craft items, and the gathering log actually helps you pinpoint where on the map there are going to be items, and the map is huge. You definitely want this. Hideaway management is where you have a long list of the different buildings and other areas like pastures or cropland, and shows you a mini map of all the locations that you have built. From here you can also review all of the buildings that you're working on from the facility logboard without actually being directly at the building post, which is obviously super convenient if you're in the middle of the island and you don't want to go back. You're like, how many logs do I need for that one particular item? You just can check it through here. You don't need to write it on a piece of paper. There's also going to be a button for material allocation, which is a future topic related to assigning mammoths to make crafts, like an advanced retainer system. That's the best way I can think about saying it. If you know the retainer system of sending out retainers, think about a more complicated version of it, but with a lot more convenience. It's like an advanced retainer system, and it just shows you everything that you have assigned to be made and sent out. Next up is that you have a button for managing your minions. It's unlocked later, but in the island from the UI, you can just set the minions area. At the start, there's only going to be 4 areas you can release the minions, and then you set the minions and just let them run free. They actually literally just roam around the area and even have cute little comments. It's actually amazing. This is such a great feature. And then lastly, there's the guide button, which will give you a breakdown on everything going on in the island, and it is a super helpful reference for sure. Below that, you can see a large bar with the Island Sanctuary rank on it, and then the experience that you have on the island to level up the Island Sanctuary rank, and then 2 special tombstone-like currencies called the Seafarer's Crowery and then the Islander's Cowery. Is that going to become my next Delubrium Reganate that I can't pronounce? I'm so sorry. We need more cowbell. Now there are going to be duty actions, and 2 of them that you're going to start with, and the first is going to be a sprint that lasts 20 seconds with a 5 seconds cooldown, so you can spam it to non-stop run. This is what I call the Isle Sprint. I found clicking it tiresome, so I made this duty action macro. Thank you, Boja Duty Actions, for teaching me this. It's on the screen right now, and it is an absolute game changer. I just replaced my sprint key with it. It's very convenient now. For people that don't like clicking, you're welcome. Game changer. Huge feature. And also, I should say, on the note of mobility, you can mount as soon as you get to the island, so that's nice too. No unlocks needed, just ride your mount. I did it a whole lot. Now from this point on, I'm going to start introducing the different features of what you can do in the island. I'm going to run it kind of in parallel with the tutorial, even though I'm going to deviate in what I say for some of these points. And so yeah, the first thing that we can do is gathering materials. As you can see from me just playing right now, until the gathering mode is actually on, you can't see these nodes, and so I'm going to flick it on and off here. Obviously you can tell if it's off, it's like not visible, but if it's on, now you can see and gather items. Here's where I kind of messed up and started gathering random seeds and just running around the island with like it was so funny doing the tutorial. This is just a very big piece of content. And this is where those like visions come into play. They are like quest guides. And so I moved it specifically into the screen so that you all can see. Normally on my ultra wide, this is actually like chopped off. You can't see the visions. And it told me specifically what to collect. And then I ran around and eventually found everything. And then I used the return action to hand back my items. And this leads us into the crafting tutorial. And this is going to be specifically from that crafting log, which is going to be your recipe book. It's not just a checklist of you've done these things. You actually will use the crafting log. Here you get to choose what recipe to craft, and then if you have the item, boom, you get it. Through the tutorial, you're going to be making a hatchet as well as a hammer. But obviously, as you can see through the inventory for tools, there's a lot more that you can do. And what I've noticed for these tools is that they just naturally passively increase the stuff that you can gather. Like, to date, as far as I've gone in Island Sanctuary, I haven't needed to like manually equip a tool. Now the next step is called construct, and to construct buildings and other structures is really where you're going for here. And these are not going to be into your crafting log, but instead have what is called a log board that will open the construction UI, which will detail what you're building and what you need to gather to build it. Before anyone worries, you can actually move the location of a building to a different location in the future if you don't like where it currently is. There's going to be a specific move facility function for that. This side user interface shows the vision in the coziest of cabins, which lists out your items that you need to, which can lead to a ton of gathering that I totally didn't need to do as I got lost on the island. And yeah, nope. Nope. I totally didn't get lost there for like 15 minutes. Obviously, if you get lost and you actually want to come back rather than explore, which I kind of wanted to do, like, you can hit the return button. But your first construct build, to the point, is going to be the so-called cozy cabin. With the materials that you can gather, you can create it. Now, after you've built your cozy cabin and went through the construction tutorial, you now can invite people to your island, play music on their orchestra, and you can earn currency called the cowries mentioned before. Seafarers' cowries are obtained by realizing visions, developing the island, and doing certain activities on the island. Islanders' cowries are obtained by selling materials in your island inventory to the enterprising exporter for in the cozy cabin. Inside the cozy cabin, you can set the orchestra on for music, you can trade in cowries into the horrendous hoarder, and of course no Rothgar can use this hat. Sadness. There, I had my moment. But there are also a bunch of random items in there that can be really good, like the crafter and gatherer material. There's excellent dyes in here, there's housing items, minions, 3 different mounts, and more. Heck, even high cordials, which are great to have on hand for gatherers. I also see a field cracker in here, and I'm just gonna say I'm glad those aren't indigo stars. Oh, please, God. Never the indigo stars. But let me be clear, cowries are used for a lot more. They can also be used to expand the amount of land that you can build on, and so they're very useful aside from just getting items, but that comes far, far later in the island tutorials. And then obviously the exporter is just where you trade in the various items for the other cowries type. I'm really still brand new like everyone else to island, so I don't really have any big ticket items yet to trade at least, but I'm sure that there's got to be more than just like the little change items that I have here. Now, with that out of the way, we now move into the next steps of the island, which is going to be farming. After obtaining some of the farmland, you can now activate the sow mode and water mode. Sow mode is for putting down the seeds, or rather sowing the seeds, and I should say, and water is for watering them. Similar to before, unless the mode is activated, you won't see the nodes to work with. These modes are going to be different modes where you need to select the item to sow, plant them, and water them. These are also going to definitely need to be watered, but thankfully rain on the island does count towards that. I also have heard, I think from the live letter, they said like some mammoth can actually do that for you too, so that in the future will be very handy. But undeniably, this user interface is far faster to handle than the standard gardening interface. Much faster than individually clicking through those plants. And then finally, if you want to remove the crops, you can just swap to the cull mode and remove the crops. Lastly, we're going to move on to Pokemon and farming, where you now have a pasture for all the Pokemon. And to get Pokemon, you are given a set of Pokeballs which you can use to capture the Pokemon. As you can see with the basic Pokeballs, we can only capture small things like the Opo, but when I tried it on Chocobos or those large Ox, it didn't work, sadly. Darn. But I guess we need to get Ultra Balls or Great Balls to catch those Pokemon. But there's also going to be a feed mode activated now, where you can select an item to feed the animals in the pasture, and this is actually very relevant because this helps the animals love you, and the animals, when they really love you, leave what is called leavings, or basically gifts for you, and you can get these by using the gathering mode on the animals. I need to use the gathering mode on my Christmas presents. Wait, what? You can also interact with the animals with the pet and the beckon emotes, which I think is a really cool flavor for sure. And then you can review the status of all of your pasture animals in the pasture management user interface, where you can see how they're doing, rename them, and so much more. I chose an excellent name for this one, Opo though. I think. What do you guys think? Then that gets us to the point where we can release minions, but we already talked about that UI element before, so I cut out this section. Now this leads to the last activity, which is the workshop, where you can make island handiworks, or rather you are telling the mammoths to make the handiworks. Speaking with the tactful taskmaster will open up a whole set of user interface related to it. The core points here are that you can set the mammoths to work on a craft at a set period of time. By that set period of time, you need to have all the materials ready for them to use, otherwise they cannot make it. If you do, when the scheduled time comes, like you do have the materials ready, they can make the craft and export it, and then you get what is called the cowries from it. It's kind of like an extra bonus cowries for handing in the gathered materials, at least that's how I view it. But there's a lot more intricacies to the system and a strategy to this that will literally double the rewards, called efficiency bonuses, that can double the rewards that you get from this. No extra gathered supplies are needed or time. These efficiency bonuses are chained from scheduling an item from the same category, as far as I can understand, only from that, after an item from the same category. But the trick is that if you have the same item made, like item A and then item A again, you're not going to be getting that bonus. So be wary of just making a lot of like item quote unquote X, like item X, item X, item X. You want like XY or XYZ or something like that. You want to change it up. And it's funny because as this UI joyfully tells me what time I'm up at right now trying to do this video for y'all. God help me, I have a meeting in a little bit. I'm literally not gonna get sleep tonight, good God. But through this UI, there are just many different elements here, and it probably deserves its own standalone video, this entire workshop system. I'm probably going to do a deep dive on that. But you can review the materials that you have on hand to craft with. You can set rest cycles that the mammoths get off, because obviously you got to give them weekends, man. And then you also can review supply and demand from here with a ton of filters and clear the entire board, of course. But what this really allows you to do, in effect, is for you to gather a ton of items and have them be processed a ton. It's kind of like a more hands-off retainer system. I kind of said that at the start of the video, but it's like where you can send off, rather than chaining the retainers off and needing to log on like every hour or so and send them out, or every day, you just can like chain them out for like 4 or 6 hour segments of time without needing to check out then reset them all the time. I kind of actually love that feature of it. Now you have multiple workshops going in parallel as well when you build out your island enough, so this is a really neat system. Another screen to show is that there's this earnings menu where you can see the earnings of them making stuff. Optimizing this, I can see a great source of gil, because some of those things that you could buy were really big items. Those crafter and gather material are notorious for being expensive and highly desirable, so I see this as being super desirable to get good at. Even if you have no intention to craft gather, good. With that said and done, we're now done with the introduction to the Island Sanctuary. Thank you guys for tuning in. There's gonna be more Island Sanctuary content. I'm a huge fan of this.